cloud. Okay. Yeah. Hang on a second. Yep, got it. All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Luke's Network. Thank you for joining us for our second TasteMakers program. We put this on as conversations with entrepreneurs in food, wine, art, and travel, because we love entrepreneurship of all types. And really now more than ever, we need to be supporting small business. And our intention here is to inform, hopefully inspire, get you to go out for Valentine's Day, and perhaps down here in Dana Point our way. And before we get started, feel free to chat as well and share who you're with, what you're up to. We have a special surprise. Rob Wilson, our guest, and we'll introduce him in a moment, sort of knows about this, but he doesn't really. But I really want to thank, so my name is Annalisa Lukes. I'm the CEO and founder of the Lukes Network. We're a marketing and sustainability firm. Jay Lukes is our COO, and I just want to thank him for going above and beyond and really reaching out to a big fan of Glasspar and Chef Rob. And I'm going to go ahead and share this video. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I've done this like 65 million times. Bear with me here. Before I do that, there's the Luke's Network. But we're going to have just a short message from one of Chef Rob's fans, who is, oh, I'm not doing that. Hang on a second. Here it is. Here it is. Optimize. I'm going to share. Okay. Can you guys see the video or the screen? Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So here it is. Thank you again, Jay, for arranging this. So this was something that we recorded over the weekend from New York City.
Hello, this is Jay Lukes with the lukesnetwork.com. We are your full service marketing agency here in Orange County, California. And before we get into our Tastemakers series tonight with Rob Wilson, chef and owner of Glasspar, we have a surprise and a very special guest. Let me ask you a question. If you guys could just enter in the chat, how many of you are fans of The Sopranos on HBO? I'm sure there's quite a few of you. So the good thing is, I'm not sure if you guys knew that one of the stars of The Sopranos is also at least a part-time resident here in Orange County. And also, bigger news, he's a big fan of Rob Wilson, his food, and of course, Glasspar Restaurant. So without further ado, I would want to introduce you. You will know him better as maybe Bobby Bacala on The Sopranos, or from Talking Sopranos, which is a very popular podcast he's currently doing, or even currently on Blue Bloods, which is on CBS. It's Steve Schirripa. Thanks, Steve, for coming.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you very much.
There we are.
So you're in the
New York.
Yeah, you're in the beautiful weather. I here there's 2 feet of snow still hanging around, but I miss there. I live there full time when I'm not working. I live in Laguna Niguel when I'm not working on Blue Bloods, which we're currently filming. But Glasspar, listen, and I'm not saying this, I've been going down there. I lived in Vegas for many years. I've been coming down to Dana Point and Laguna Niguel and Newport for close to 40 years. Okay. I bought a house there about 5 years ago. This is our favorite restaurant. There's some good restaurants, but I'm not lying to you. Very few restaurants down there, and I'm not knocking Southern California because I love it and I'm a resident, is that we look forward to going. We've got a bunch of spots, but I look forward to that. The pappardelle with the shrimp, it knocks me out. That's what I eat, the same thing every time I go. I love the avocado toast. I love the octopus. Rob is great. He comes by the table. We love seeing him. Marcos, the GM. I love him. That's how I know the place. You don't have a better host and general manager as far as I know. All the staff is great. And I got to tell you, Me and my wife go as often as we can. I haven't been there in a while because I'm shooting. I look forward to it. It's open again. The outdoor, they play great music. It's a beautiful outdoors. Food is great. I can't say enough good things. It's the one restaurant there that I really look forward to going for the food and, of course, the service. So I wish them nothing but the best. I know they hit speed bumps, as all restaurants have, and I look forward to being there, hopefully sooner than later. And I need my pappardelle with the shrimp. So
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much,
Rob.
Steve. That's awesome. Yeah, we all support Rob, and we all want to go there and keep supporting these restaurants, especially as now we're coming out of everything. So, hey, thanks again, Steve. We will definitely hook up in Orange County when you're done with
I'll
Blue Blood.
see you there. I'll see you there.
All right. Thanks again, Steve.
Awesome. Okay. End of
Very
show.
cool.
No. So Rob,
Drop the mic.
stop the mic. Mic drop. So
Drop
everybody
the
now
mic.
has to go. Oh, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Oh, hang on. Oh dear. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Skip. Stop. Skip. Hang on. Hang on. I don't know why Mozart is playing right now. Hang on a second. Bear with me for a moment, okay? Those of you who've been to our shows before, it's like, this never happens. Okay, I'm just gonna take that off. All right, sorry about that. I had Mozart for the brain all day today, and it helps. Well, listen, thank you everybody again for being here and sharing your time with us. We're just gonna ask a few questions of Chef Rob, who is our special guest. And if you want to, you can put on the top right corner, you can do speaker view, you can do gallery view, you can take pictures, whatever you want to do. Let's have fun, and we'll go ahead and get started, okay? So Chef Rob, thank you again for being here. I'm just going to ask you a few questions. We appreciate your restaurant. We love your restaurant. You went to the Culinary Institute of America, right? And so what I would like you to do is take us back to the moment when you first said to yourself, I think I would like to be a chef. And how old were you and what led to that moment?
Wow, this is going to be a really funny story. I hope you guys are ready to laugh. So I grew up in Laguna Niguel, and my parents both worked nights. So my mom used to leave recipes on the counter with all the ingredients in the refrigerator. So when my sister and I got home from school, we were supposed to do our homework, and then we were supposed to cook dinner. So I would throw my book bag in the room, grab my surfboard, run down the street all the way down to the bus and catch the 85 and go surf Salt Creek until about 5 o'clock, when I'd catch the 5:05 bus back home, run back up the hill about 2.5 miles, and then proceed to whip together meatloaf or whatever my mom's little casserole dishes that she had, because my sister was just not about it. And then my parents would get home and they'd be like, wow, dinner's done. So that's cool.
Oh.
I'd pull that off probably 4 days a week. And then my sister had a birthday party, and she invited all of her girlfriends over that were 16 years old. So that makes me 14 years old. And I said, wow, I'm going to make breakfast for the ladies. And the next day, she had a birthday party, and her parents went off to work, and I made a full breakfast for all the ladies. And I figured out that food is a way to a woman's heart, and at the very young age. So it was a pretty funny thing. I think they practiced kissing on me for a while after that.
Oh my goodness, that's a cute story. Ladies, do you agree food is a way to our hearts? Oh my goodness. Well, with Valentine's Day coming up, what a special way to even celebrate food and sharing. Tell us a little bit about what you have planned for Valentine's weekend, really.
Yeah, so we're doing part of our the concept of the restaurant is we don't want to take away from what we do on a normal daily basis for the restaurant. So we're offering a full a la carte menu, and then I have a 4-course tasting menu as well. So we're throwing the 4-course tasting in. It's actually in each 4-course category. There's an opportunity to choose one of 2 items. So if you and Jay were to come in and you just say, oh, I'll have this, I'll have that, I'll have this, I'll have that. You actually get to explore the whole tasting menu, all 8 items. And my wife, who is our resident sommelier and wine director and beverage director and everything director, she paired wines with it. So you're able to pair wines with it as well. And but you're also able to do a la carte. So if one wants to do a tasting menu, one just wants to have a nice piece of fish or a salad or whatever, you can do that.
I know it's up there right now on your guys' Instagram, the whole menu.
Yep.
Which has
the whole menu's up there.
It's like 4 courses, 5 courses, something like that.
It's 4 courses, and it's basically it's a couple selected things off of our menu, and then there's, I think, 5 of the courses are something that are not on our menu.
Yeah, look great.
Yeah.
5 items, I should say.
Take us a little bit. So from that moment when you discovered, ooh, ladies love a boy or a man who cooks, to your career where you decided this is what I want to do for life. Talk through that, because I know, you were executive chef at the Montage here in Laguna Beach, and prior to that, executive chef at the Ritz Carlton in Laguna Niguel, and I think another Ritz Carlton as well. Just take us through, just very quickly, through your career as a chef upon graduating CIA.
Sure. So, well, it started long before that, because I think when my first job was a dishwasher at the Chart House in Dana Point at 15 years old, and I was able to, I literally started working so I could pay for surf contests. And then I got promoted into being a cook, and the manager's like, no, you can't have Saturday off. You can't travel to go surfing. You have to stay here and work. And I was like, at that point, like 16 years old. And then, obviously sophomore in high school or whatever. And so fast forward, I got through high school. I took a gap year. I went to work for the Chart House and opened the Chart House in Steamboat Springs, Colorado for a season. Skied every day, snowboarded, had fun, and then I came back home, and then I went to New York. Upon graduation, I had done my apprenticeship for Ritz Carlton in Rancho Mirage, where I worked for an extended externship. After that, I came back home and started with the local kind of, where could I go locally? And I went to a catering company because I didn't want to work a lot. I wanted to snowboard more. I met my future wife, which I didn't know at the time, but now after 25 years of marriage, she's been the rock. But so I went to work for them, and then I went to work for Surf and Sand. And after Surf and Sand, we moved to Mammoth, and we were in Mammoth for just about 6.5 years. And I owned a restaurant and operated a restaurant called Servino's, Northern Time French, and then went from there and was partners in 2 other restaurants. And then it was like baby came. So my daughter was born, and we decided to raise her here, not there. And that's when my career rejoined the Ritz Carlton, and I spent the next 13 years with Ritz Carlton, opening 8 hotels, multiple restaurants within those hotels, and then ultimately ended up being the executive chef of the Ritz Carlton Laguna Niguel, which is right in our backyard.
That's right.
And then Montage after that, and then we decided to do this. We decided to do Glasspar.
And we'll talk about Glasspar in a moment. And by the way, Ritz Carlton's right next to our favorite beach, Salt Creek. Takes you back to
your
early roots. So let's go back a little bit to the Ritz Carlton and tell me a little bit about what you learned from that experience, whether while you were coming up and when you became an executive chef, and tie in as well the program regarding sustainability and what you decided to do to sort of make things better, not just for the hotel, but also for people, the planet, and combining all of that.
Right. So, working for a company like that, you have a lot of support, and you can do a lot of great things as long as you get the right people to support you in the right channels. Having kind of cut my teeth, per se, with the Ritz Carlton from 97 to 04, before I became an executive chef for the company. You do the beach cleanups, you do all these philanthropic things to support the community. You cook for all these special events, the Liver Foundation, Kidney Foundation, all these special things. And then you get to meet a lot of great people along the way and do a lot of great things. But when it comes down to it, when I got back to the Ritz Carlton in 07, they were still using styrofoam and still using unrecyclable plastics, and the to-go packaging was not recyclable. And I grew up right below that, that hotel, and I cleaned up that beach for my whole life. And so when you see all the styrofoam pieces and cigarette butts and all those things on the beach, it's heartbreaking. I mean, it breaks your heart. So I put together with our PR director, her name was Deanne French at the time, and I said, let's put together a program and let's make this hotel green. And we set off on a journey, and it probably took us about a year until every single piece of styrofoam and every piece of unrecyclable to-go-ware bags, this and that, was completely changed over. But we did it. And Orange County, I think it was Orange County Business Journal or another publication, did a huge article on us because we took a 400-room hotel and made it green.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's amazing. Okay, not to talk about anything that's negative, but when you're introducing something new like that, and it's great that you had a lot of support, did you overcome or did you face any resistance? And if so, how did you overcome?
I think initially, because this is a number of years back, I didn't really face a lot of resistance. When you go about selling somebody the idea that you have, it's all about the approach. And you're like, hey, do you want to come down and clean the beach with me on Saturday? Because we pick up minute, tiny pieces of styrofoam, and we're not concentrating on the big. Of course, there's people that concentrate on the big pieces of trash on the beach, but we're talking the minute pieces. Like, go pick through a 1 by 1 yard, square yard of sand, and pick through all the little tiny things that are in that 1 by 1 square yard. And that opens, especially in our community where so many people care, that opens their eyes to what is happening, and the styrofoam coolers and the cups and the plastic straws and the lids and all these things that are, the just everything that is harming our ocean. And it wasn't really tough. It just took a long time because there's a lot of inventory to go through, and there's a lot of product that had to be kind of used up. They didn't want to throw it away. It's not, you know what I mean? So we got it done though.
That's awesome. Kind of like what entrepreneurs have to deal with day in and day out, right? It's sometimes we're in our own way and we resist ourselves or ideas in our own heads. We have to get out of our own way. So one thing about that story that's really cool is you tied it to your own passion and to your own community. And, oftentimes when you're selling an idea, authenticity is important. And I would guess that you're probably authentic in your approach, and that's a big part of what makes people believe in an idea and a concept and a business and in people. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And, there's always going to be those people that don't believe in it, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But, I think in that case, turning that hotel into, a green hotel, it was what needed to be done,
That's amazing. Well, before I go and talk about Glasspar, you heard Steve Schirripa share his favorite dish, which is the prawn parpadelle. And by show of hands, or you can chat, how many of you are also into wine? Or at least would like to be into wine? All right. So what would go well with a dish like that?
So we have a bunch of obviously different, we don't have a huge wine list, but we have a diverse wine list. And one of the wife wanted to do, her name is Anik, that she wanted to do with the wine list is we went to all the restaurants in Orange County, not in Orange County, in Dana Point. And we wanted a wine list that was completely different from that. I would recommend off our wine list, the Giacato Pinot Grigio. It's a light white wine based, and it goes really good because there's a lot of lemon scent and basil scent in that sauce. So it actually is really good. And she started talking to me about a couple other wines, and I was like, we have the Albarino, and we have this, and the Chablis, and I'm like, honey, it's Italian dish. We gotta stay Italian. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We're staying Italian.
I
But
love
no,
it.
it goes really well. And even though it has kind of a lighter butter sauce,
Mhm.
the California buttery Chardonnays are a little bit too big for it.
Too big for it.
Yeah.
Nice. So balance is important, whether it's in wine and food or in business, right? And anything that you do. And by the way, to our guests, feel free to park some questions. You can either chat them in or you can raise your hand. Or this is an interactive program. Let's have fun. You can talk and ask questions about Rob. You can ask about Glasspar. You can ask about business, food, whatever. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you a little bit about Glasspar. Take us to the moment when you realized, I want to have my own restaurant. When was that? What was that like? Just take us back to that moment.
Well, I think it's always been for us, the wife and I, and it's always been that thing that we had before we had kids, because we were partners in 3 restaurants. And then it was like, we needed that safety net to get through raising the children, getting them through high school, getting them off to college or into their adult life. And I would say about 3.5 years ago at this point, I came home from work and I'm like, okay, it's time. It's time. So we started on this venture, and that's kind of when it was like, okay, our son's out of high school, our daughter's a young adult and on her own, and we don't really need to have that giant safety net over us or underneath us all the time for the kids, and let's, I just turned 50. So it's like, hey, you got to do it now or you're never going to do it,
Wow.
And so we took a shot, and wow, what a first year to open a restaurant.
That's amazing. If you've been to Glasspar, raise your hand. Okay, you got to go and check it out. It's really amazing. That's a great story, though. Having that safety net, needing it for your children, and then deciding, okay, now's the time. So you were sort of incubating that idea for a while. It's not like you just decided to whip out a business plan and, oh, I'm going to do it. It's been in your mind, right? It had been in your mind already.
And we would talk about it. Like we have a bunch of different concepts that we continually talk about, and we've always like written stuff down, and literally like because she was an at-home mom raising the kids and taking care of the household, and I was working. And when in my industry, you work 12 hours on a short day and 16, 18 hours on a long day, especially in the big hotels. You kind of don't have a lot of time to write a business plan. So it really was about like, how do we execute a business plan, get it into play? We have to go find investors. We have to do all these things. And how do you do that when you're employed by, a major hotel company? And so I actually ended up leaving the Montage in January of 2018, and went to work for another company out of New Zealand as their corporate chef for about 1.5 years. And that allowed me that time to kind of all of us to get everything back into play. My earbuds are dying, but I'm gonna try and switch them out here.
Okay.
Basically that time allowed us to, get everything, organized and design work and plans approved and all those things. So
there's a lot of development that happens as you're developing a business long before it actually goes out there on social media or wherever. I've got a couple of questions from chat here from Amy St-Hilaire. Thank you for being here, Amy. Was it difficult to find investors in a new restaurant?
Absolutely, 100%. I didn't think it was going to be as tough as it was, and it was extremely, extremely tough. We had some people jump on board really fast, and then there was just a lot of nurturing and a lot of meetings and a lot of conversations. Ultimately, we crossed the finish line. I think it was like 2 weeks before we opened, or maybe a week before we opened, that we actually crossed the finish line.
Wow.
It's always tough for people to understand your vision when it's something new, right? When it's something that is qualified, something that is successful, something that is already in place. Maybe when we get to Glasspar number 2, because of Glasspar number 1, it'll be like, I want to invest in that. It's like a new stock, right? Like they're giving you money, and they have to believe in you, and you
That's
have
right.
to believe in, it's a very difficult thing, it's not easy. And everybody that I talk to that is, that has to almost not to say crowdfund, but we have 42 investors in our restaurant, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
And some people have the luxury of having one investor, but maybe it's their parents or grandparents or somebody else that wants to invest in them as a sole investor. But it definitely not easy.
Yeah. I would say it's like probably having a baby, but probably longer than having a baby. How long did it take? And then another question, what kind of people do you have around you, whether it's your staff? I know you employ about 50 people, or the people who are investing with you. And it might be a little bit difficult at first when it's, the first thing out and you're like, well, they want to invest in me and in your business. So you're kind of overcoming and overlooking a lot of things. But what kind of people do you want to surround yourself with? And how long did it take for you to get from the concept to 2 weeks before opening and getting those investors?
So I think from concept, we have a couple people that have been very involved from the very beginning, and they've invested a lot of money and time. And those people really got us off the ground. Close friends of family members, family members, a lot of family members and family members of family members. And then we had this big support group of our friends that actually Jay and I went to high school with. It was like all of a sudden we lowered our rate that you could come in at. And all of a sudden we got all of our friends that started investing at a lower level, which is not a level that's big enough to break anybody's bank or cause them to lose their retirement. But we opened up this smaller allotment, and all of a sudden it just started flooding in. It was really kind of cool. It was like, oh, we picked up 5 today, 6 tomorrow.
Wow.
And, it was just like, it was people just investing small pieces to the puzzle. And that's really kind of what got us through over the finish line. Start to finish, I would say from the start, from the first presentation that we did, myself and Kirk did to one of our biggest investor, he was in right away. We were under the gun. We had a lease to sign. The building that we're in was actually 2 leases were being approved. One of them was going to win. We slid in at the bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs. And we came in and we presented to the landlords of the building that we're in now, our concept, who we are, what we wanted to do. And we won the bid, like literally in the bottom of the 9th inning with it was crazy. So they say everything happens for a reason. That's and then, so.
And that location is ideal. I mean, it really is
beautiful.
An ideal location.
It's
and
beautiful.
For those of you who've not been there, you can literally walk to the harbor, right? Walk down or up from the harbor. Yeah. Really fine location. It's wonderful. And we have a lot of entrepreneurs in our audience, actually. So these are questions that are relevant to them. Some of them have been entrepreneurs for a while. Some of them are new and starting out. And so our hope again here is to inspire, and we want people to keep going, because that's what the dream is about. You make the dream happen by keep going. And one of the things that we believe is what's yours is yours. If it's meant to be, it's going to happen. And there's a reason for why Glasspar is there. And we can't wait for Glasspar part 2 and part 3 and part 4. And we see that all the time here in Dana Point. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, obviously it's been a really phenomenally unique year, let's hope, in the last 12 months or so, okay? Not to get too serious, because we'll be asking you questions like, what do you cook when you're at home? But for now, take us back to just about a year ago, almost a year ago now, in about a month, when the stay-at-home order was passed. Talk us through what went through your head, and what did you tell your wife, your employees about what was happening when nobody knew what was going on?
So we opened December 13th of 2019. So we were open for 2 weeks of the last 2 weeks during Festival of Lights in Dana Point Harbor, holiday celebrations. Like, we literally got shot out of a cannon. First night we opened, we did 360 covers, and for a restaurant to do 360 covers the first night they're open, when we had 2 practice nights, 1 investor night and 1 employee night before that, was crazy. That was Friday night. Saturday night, we did 450 covers. And we literally didn't stop until after the new year. We worked our way through the new year. And as soon as we were closed. It was like surreal. It was like, you're like, what just happened? I've been 150 miles an hour to March 15th, 17th or whatever. And it's like, we're closed. Like your soul just like drops out of your body. And I was literally laying on the floor behind the oyster bar. Sorry, get emotional.
It's okay.
The next day, cleaning like I was cleaning the refrigeration, going like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I literally have like 40 investors, $3 million in the building.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open a fish market.
Right next to John's.
No, we did.
And I did. I literally did.
Yeah.
I literally opened
That's
a
right.
fish market.
Yeah.
And I opened a fish market for 22 markets. We were extremely successful. We had 2-hour waits around the building. I was selling so much fish, raw fish. I'd get it in the morning, I'd prep it, I'd cut it, I'd present it, I'd sell it. And our first market, we literally sold out in 2.5 hours. The next market we sold in 3.5 hours, and to continue down that road for the next 22 weeks.
I mean, that told a lot of the like loyalty of your customer base, because I mean, obviously it's the top line fish that you're getting from this fish market, but there's other fish markets in Dana Point. Right. And I mean, I could see it when, this all hit the fan, that when you did come up with that concept of the fish market, that people were like stoked. We're coming down there and getting some ahi and some oysters.
Yep,
and they were such a loyal customer base because you built that. So that's something you definitely should be proud of.
And it was literally 3 months after we opened. So it was like, it was just one of those things where hit hard. Emphasized on the market, cocktails to go, wine to go, 30% off wine. We did infused olive oils, bakery items, pastry chef items for my pastry chef. And so we really kind of came together as a team and kind of wanted to support the community and giving them a good quality product when we could,
Rob, thank you for sharing that and for being open enough to be vulnerable. I mean, most of the people here are people that you've probably never met yet, but hopefully you go down to the harbor. What got you through that? I mean, that level of creativity after you're cleaning your refrigerator or your equipment there. What got you through it? What got you through that?
It was just that, it was that fight or flight, It was that whole mentality of you got to fight or you got to go. And I'm not going, I'm fighting.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, people in the audience, feel free to chat or send any feedback or comments as well. Again, thank you for that. Well, let's talk back a little bit, because Jay said that you had such a loyal customer following. So there's something special about you and your brand, what you stand for, that people love and enjoy, or else they could have gone to other fish markets, right? And there's quite a bit of them in Dana Point. So when you were just getting started, and this is a question from Yazir Solomon, who's in the audience, what did you use to reach out to your potential customers? And what is it that you think kept your customers loyal to you?
Number one, I think the loyalty came from quality. It came from quality and from wanting to support a local business that had just opened up, but also it was a quality product. I still offer to this day online. We have our online fish market. I'm offering fish at the highest quality, the highest level of fish that you can get at below grocery store prices. Wow. So I still shop, Marbella Market. I still shop, John's, and I still shop other, Gelson's and whatever. And I'm still below them
Mhm.
or equal to them as far as price. But I know that when I saw something at the market, especially back then, I was getting it in that morning, cutting it that morning, and literally presenting it, and not getting too much product in, so I didn't have to sit on a bunch of dead stock, because we were only open 2 days a week, 4 hours a day, so 8 hours a week. And it was really about supply and demand. And I kind of started it, and I started to trend how, salmon sold, and how this sold, and how that sold. And it was just, I was able to order, and people say, oh, can you get me this? And can you get me that? And I'm like, well, let me check. Because back then the supply chain was different. The demand was different than the supply chain. So I really had to do a lot of work, during the week, to kind of make sure that I get the right quality product. I got freshest ingredients, or the freshest product, to give to the staff, or not to the staff, but I'm sorry, to the guest. And then as far as, just giving back, our whole thing was obviously we have a PR company, and Talia and Outshine PR is amazing. And she does, she basically blasted it out on social media. That's the only, and we put a sign out front on a chalkboard on the corner of, like right when you pull into the center, Dana Marina Center. We just put a chalkboard that said Fresh Fish Market, 12 to 4. And that's literally, and people were just like driving in, like, where's the market? Oh, it's in Glasspar. Okay, get in line.
That's awesome. So you
So
still have a market today?
We don't do a live market. We do our market is online, and you can go online on our website, and you can place an order. And we do ask for a 48-hour turnaround time, because it allows me to not only order the fish, but cut the fish. And there's certain items on my fish list that I need to have a day, 24 hours advance notice, so I can get them in. And we just felt it was easier that if you ordered on a Monday, you pick it up on a Wednesday after 2. You order Wednesday, you pick it Friday, and so on and so forth. So we still get a pretty good consistent amount of orders in. And I actually, people call me and email me, DM me, or they'll just call the restaurant and say, hey, I'm in a pinch. Can I get like 4 pieces of salmon? I'm like, absolutely. If I have it, I'm going to give it to you. You know what I mean? So, So.
What's your website? So for those people, because we have some people who live in LA County, all right? What is the website so they can support?
It's glasspar.com.
Glasspar.com. Now, why is it called Glasspar? Why is it called Glasspar?
So Glasspar was a boat company from 1949 to 1977. Bill Tritt was the owner of this company. He was a master fiberglass fabricator. He actually created a spar, which is a mast of a sailboat. He created a fiberglass spar, so Glasspar. He also was the creator of the first fiberglass Autopia bodies for Disneyland. He created the first fiberglass body for a Corvette. He was also a master fabricator in the aerospace industry for fiberglass nose cones for spacecraft. And his buddy in 1949 said, hey, make me a boat. And so he made him a boat in Costa Mesa. Upon that, my father bought a 1965 Glasspar 18-foot seafaring sedan that I grew up not wakeboarding, but there's no wakeboarding back then, water skiing and fishing on for like my whole life, pretty much. And so when my father passed, he left it to my cousin. My cousin sold it to his dad. His dad sold it to his next door neighbor. His next door neighbor sold it back to my uncle. My uncle sold it to my sister. And so it's just this, this iconic boat that's just been kind of floating around Laguna Niguel for a long time.
Oh,
and
I love it.
And it was fitting because, to try and trademark a name of a business at this point, like especially a restaurant, it was very difficult. Our trademark attorney, we kept, producing names and names and names. And she's like, no. And I came up with the name, and I told my wife, I said, hey, what about Glasspar? And she's like, kind of looked at me, kind of like, when your dog kind of gives you that head tilt, like, And I go, it has a story, because it was Dad's boat. The boat was launched 2 days a week in Dana Point Harbor for my father to go fishing Wednesday and Saturday religiously. You know, he would drop me off at Doheny, I'd go surfing, and he'd go fishing, and then he'd drive out the jetty, and I'd run up the beach, and he'd jump in the truck, and he'd, you know, take me home. He left me there twice. He said, if you're not on the jetty by the time I do the loop, you're done.
Yeah.
So he left me there twice, I think, to teach me a lesson. But then the waves are good. What are you gonna do? You know.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I think names and how you present yourself as a business, or as a company, or really as an individual, makes a difference, right? That's part of your brand. That's not the only thing. Quality of the fish, that's part of your brand. That's why people were loyal to you. Again, if you guys in the audience have any questions, feel free to chat in and type in. We're going to wrap up here in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to ask a fun question. When you get home, do you cook? And if so, what's your favorite go-to dish? If you cook.
So when I get home from work, it's usually past midnight.
Wow.
And I've been there since 9 a.m. Some days 8, some days 10, but most of the time 9. And I get home, it's after midnight, and we're just exhausted. We usually open a bottle of wine, and I open the refrigerator and see what we have. I mean, honestly, like a lot of times it's like eggs and like a breakfast at like, you know, 12:30, or it's like a salad, or as of late, the Alsatian tarts from Trader Joe's. I don't know, man. They go a long way at 12:30 at night. But like tonight, like I'm off work today, so tonight we're having actually on what was it? Today's what, Tuesday? So on Sunday night, because we were closed at 2 for the Super Bowl, I actually brined 2-inch thick Duroc pork chops, and then I let them air dry in the refrigerator for 20, you know, brined 24 hours, air dried 24. And as soon as I hang up with this, I'm whipping out the cast iron pan, and we're doing, you know, seared Duroc pork chops.
All right, and we're coming over. Oh, that's awesome. A couple of questions from our audience, from Greg Borchardt. Hi, Greg. Any lessons Rob learned of what not to do? And again,
don't open a restaurant in the middle of a pandemic.
And predict what a pandemic, when it's going to happen.
Yeah, predict a pandemic. No. You know, there's so many lessons that I've learned. When you hire a designer that doesn't work out, you hire an architect that doesn't work out, and you end up doing it all yourself with you and your wife. It's a learning experience. I mean, I've had to build houses before, but never a restaurant. You know, you really do your research on who you use for, you know, when you're building from the ground up, because we literally built from 6 feet under all the way to the top. Ground up, all new electrical, all new, you know, walls, everything, all new plumbing. And thank God our contractor was a very close and good friend of ours, and was really stood up to his name and his business and his reputation. And so, you know, when you're going to build a restaurant from the ground up, make sure you surround yourself with those right building people, and then obviously, you know, surround yourself with great people that, and every day you'll do great things. And sometimes you hire somebody out of necessity, and it's just because you need a pair of hands. But sometimes it's better just not to hire those people and just kind of do it yourself and get through it. But ultimately, you need to surround yourself with great people to do great things, and that's one of the things that we've done.
That's really amazing, and that's like in business, but really in life, right?
Yeah,
we have a
absolutely.
board of directors for our lives, and every time there's something, hey, we ring the phone. So one fun question, and we'll wrap up with a couple of other questions sort of related to leadership and how you've gone through the pandemic. So Scott Harrell, our resident home winemaker, is asking, what wines does your wife prefer?
Okay, what day of the week is it? Just kidding. Or what time of the day is it, I should say. Loves rosés, loves Chablis, Vermentino. She's part Italian, so obviously there's all the, you know, the Italian repertoire in there. Really loves old world Burgundies and Bordeaux's. She's very well rounded when it comes to wine, and it's kind of fun because she goes to, you know, when she purchases wine for the house, you know, she goes to High Times and she'll just come home with a a mixed bag of tricks, and it's really kind of fun because I get to enjoy it, and I'll be like, she's like, what are you making for dinner? I'm like, well, we're gonna make Duroc pork chops, and she's like, okay, I have a wine for that, so
wow.
there's no for her, I think there's a couple wines she doesn't really like. I could probably pick those out more than any. California Chardonnays, definitely not on her list. Unoaked Chardonnays, not on her list. And Zinfandel, not on her list. Other than that, I think she's really, really wide open to whatever she wants to. So.
Well, and this program is about food, wine, art, and travel, all the wonderful things about life. And, we talked with a winemaker, winery owner last month. We're going to talk to another one, Alta Colina, based in Paso Robles, on March 3rd. So save the date, y'all, at 6 p.m. Bob Tillman was a former engineer and decided to create a winery and a brand in Paso Robles. And then in April, we'll be talking about sustainability. We're hosting what we call the 3B Summit here through the Luke's Network. And Chapman University is participating. And we also just got confirmed today, UPS, United Parcel Service, is going to participate as a speaker as well for that. And, one of the things that we try to do as the Luke's Network is really understand people and understand what their values are, what their stories are about. And at the end of the day, it's about the individual and the people. So I'm going to ask you these two questions, a two-part question, answer however you want to. What would you tell your March 12, 2020 self if you knew then what you know now? And last question is, how are you leading your team of your 50 employees, even through this time?
So I think that what I would tell myself the March 12th would be like, oh, I don't even know, like run. No, I'm just kidding. Run. Why did you do this again? No. It's funny because I've always felt that even though we were only open for 3 months, I've never felt like that this business was going to get the better of us, that this pandemic was going to get the better of us, because we have a lot of great supporters in our investors that believe in us and believe in our team. Marcos Costas is our managing partner and GM. My wife does a wine program and the cocktail program. We have our Sean Snyder, who's our assistant, like our manager, my sous chef, Irving Nunez, just my pastry chef, Jasmine Smith. People that are just like way out there, like so good at what they do, like that you're just like, this is not going to fail,
Yeah.
And we've been blessed with some amazing landlords, and that have been like, we understand, we know you put $3 million into the building. I don't ever want to put another tenant in there. And when you hear that from your landlord, you're like, okay, I can take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And I can concentrate on reopening when we can reopen and getting back to work. So that's really cool.
That is really inspiring and really amazing. Thank you for going there and going deep. We're going to wrap it up here. Hope you guys join us for more stories. This is what we do as a full service marketing firm. Feel free to stay in touch with us at thelukesnetwork.com. But can everybody just give a wave or a hand and thank Chef Rob? It's his day off and he's taking the time to help inspire us. Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourselves and just kind of say thank you. Thanks for the inspiration. And let's take before we wrap up, let's go shot. Just go like this or whatever. And yeah. I hope you guys got inspired. Were you inspired? Go like this if you were inspired. Okay, that's the goal. Well, thank you so much, Rob. We appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you
Thanks, Annalisa.
hopefully next year. Okay, take care.
Hey, Glasspar.
Bye.